Hey everybody, and welcome to the commentary video for the June match of Scholastic. I am National Master Justin Burgess, and we have Brian back with us today.
How's it going? It's been a while, but I am glad to be back.
Yes, glad to have you back. All right, the K-12 is a little bit delayed getting the last round started. There's a game still going in the third round, but let's start in the K-5 section and check out the top board between Shri 313 and Victor Vapu.
All right,
Looks like Victor is a clear point ahead of the field, so he just needs at least a draw to lock this up.
okay. Let's see how he does.
It was a scotch. Excellent.
Knight b5?
Oh,
No.
C3. Okay. Yeah, I like to play knight b5 here. Kind of a fun line. But okay, I don't know if I've seen this before where black takes on d4. Usually, um, I don't even know actually, since I play knight b5 so often, what the main move is for black. Is it?
Would it be just knight g e7?
Yeah, it might be because knight takes c6 doesn't attack the queen anymore. So then you could throw in bishop takes e3.
Right.
Okay, but taking on d4, I feel like that's probably not good because white can
It just
recapture with the pawn.
you just get all the center. Okay.
Hmm.
So didn't
Hmm.
happen, but
This is hanging. Huh. Back and forth by black. Okay. It hasn't been played amazingly well by black, obviously. And then I think white could have played a little bit better too. But this is still going to be pleasant for white, but not like game over or anything.
yeah, I think black can probably still play d6 and have some sort of comfortable development, right? Although knight f6 allows e5, is that annoying?
Yeah, I would have gone e5 just to cause trouble to the knight. I still would do it.
Yeah, especially now with the knight on c3. Can't go to e4.
Hmm. I feel like if black just gets like a couple more moves in, then they can pretty much be pretty close to equal. But sometimes this move could also be pretty annoying, like after e5 maybe, so you're not blundering the pawn, then knight b5, and then this pawn is weak. If you push it, the knight can get into d6, and that's just like a
Ooh,
permanent
yeah, that looks bad.
thorn
And then that bishop on c8 is just stuck there the entire game, right? Because the bishop on c4 protects a6
for
so
sure.
that way too. Okay, that seems annoying.
Yeah, I think what black is supposed to do is just play knight g7, and then I'm not sure exactly what comes after that because I know sometimes like it's bad to castle right after that because then knight takes c6 works again, I think. Bishop takes e3, knight takes e7 is check now, and you would lose a piece.
Right.
But okay, we did have e5 by white, looks good. Maybe black, I don't even know where they should go actually.
Knight
Y-
g4, h3, I guess.
Yeah, I could wind up on f5 someday, which isn't the worst thing. Knight e8 is also maybe so that you can have the c7 pawn defended, but it doesn't look pleasant.
Does not.
All right, well,
Be
let's,
very uncomfortable here, but yeah, we can check out a different game.
yeah, let me actually, I gotta remember, I already was forgetting during all of that to keep an eye on the K-12 section.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to like pull that up in a separate tab so that maybe you'll notice?
Yeah, I have K12. There's still one game going. It
Okay.
feels like it's gonna go for a little bit.
Yeah,
Black.
when it ends, I need to schedule the round like as soon as possible, basically.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Well, while you're checking that, let me pull up the second board in K5. We've got Vedant HP versus Chess Kid 623. And this one was okay, so knight c6, not the most common move. I would say knight f6 much more flexible. The problem with knight c6 is you don't want to be blocking your c pawn and d4 d5 openings so that you can use your c pawn to attack the center and bring the knight out behind it
And we see this all the time.
all the time.
Never get tired of saying it.
And
It,
there's white employing the idea that is good, c4, and then they'll bring out the knight behind it later in the game.
yeah, it's just almost a DMV chess tournament um trademark at this point.
Right. It wouldn't be a DMV tournament if we didn't mention blocking the C pawn.
Yes, and now Black just went for some pawns. Is that knight? I guess
I
just
think it's
got out.
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like white just wasn't that careful with some things like in the center. I love their position around here. Maybe
Yeah.
they should have kept shoving these knights around with some pawn moves. Looks pretty good to me. But then bishop c4 followed by castles. It feels like a bit of lazy development, sort of missing Black's idea to take some of these pawns for free. And I
Mm,
think Black is doing fine. Two pawns up.
two pawns up. There's nothing hanging for black. I mean, the bishop on c8 is not the best, but you can easily
Right.
fix it in a bit.
Yeah, that's the only problem with Black's position. I agree. The light square bishop's a little tough to get out.
Yeah.
K12 still going, I guess.
Yep, still going.
Wow.
Hmm.
Maybe since it's time to head over there anyway, let's just see where we are with this super long end game.
Yep, seems like black has been very low on time, but holding on.
Okay.
I mean,
Queen and pawn end game, which is always a nightmare.
especially with low time, but this should technically be a draw, I guess, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's probably pretty close to even number of pawns. I
Yeah,
don't even know which side I'd rather be. Maybe,
I think I would just take white here because of the time situation.
oh, sure. If we're factoring in the time, definitely. But what about possession? I
Uh,
feel like it's easier to blunder one of these pawns than it is for black to blunder like this pawn.
Agreed. Yeah. I would take black, I guess, in the position just because of the healthier pawn structure.
Because it's kind of hard to make sure you don't blunder either pawn. I don't know. Maybe it's not that hard, but what to do? Maybe black should try h4 at some point, and if white pushes, then maybe like queen comes in on the dark squares or something,
Yeah,
guarded by that pawn. I don't know.
something. I mean, it's hard to calculate all that with 17 seconds, though, so I can see why they're not doing anything crazy.
Hmm.
Mm,
Queen d2 and taking the pawn is an idea. Last time white backed up their queen to e2 because of it to guard the pawn. We'll see if they do that again. Would that be a repetition? Let me see.
Yeah, I
Queen
think it's
d7,
getting close.
king g2. So that was the first. Oh, wait, the king is on g7. Okay. Second time. Yeah, we did have it. Repetition.
Okay, there we go. That
Okay.
concludes K12.
Let me schedule that
Round three.
section then.
Round four is coming up.
Let's see. I'll set it for 5:10. This must be a record 10 minutes past the scheduled time for the start of the round.
Mhm.
I don't remember it being that long before.
We do have a crazy game. Seems like it's going to be over soon in the K5 section
Okay,
between
which game is that?
between number 6 and number 7.
Sinathuni versus Rich Royal Earth. Let's check it out.
Ooh, we see some tactics happening right now.
Ooh, nice. I like it.
Black King in huge trouble.
Knight takes e5 free piece for starters. King goes back.
Got to be some sort of mate here, right? Like knight G6 is mate.
Ooh,
There it
yes.
is.
You called
On
it.
the board.
Yep. Um, how did that all arise? It looks like it wasn't anything too bad for black, and then they defended the f7 pawn with the queen, but that doesn't really help when two minor pieces are going to attack it. Maybe black should have played bishop e6 or rook e7 or something instead.
It was still not looking good, but
Yeah, I agree. All
oof.
right.
That knight.
Well, let's go back to the K12 since it's now, well, let me see. Maybe the games are just now getting started. We do have a couple moves in some games, but let me just give it a little bit more time to develop. We'll check out the last game in K5 that we haven't looked at yet. Vid 2016
This one looked
versus
over.
Cyrom. This game?
Yes.
All right, let's see. We had an Italian. I'm just going to try to get to the final position. Oh, yeah,
Black just
black
castles
right
queens.
into the open
Oh,
file.
oh no.
Not recommended, Brian.
And nicely played there by
Ooh.
taking away the knight on f6 so that the knight can come to d5. And this
Hmm.
was like checkmate is, I want to say,
Yeah.
impossible, right? Like maybe you can play g4, not b5.
B5, rook A8, king B7, rook 1A7, king C6.
Or is it?
Lose your queen, but not mate, maybe?
Yeah, probably the best black can hope for.
Yeah,
There it
there it
is.
is.
You can even just take the queen right now as well.
Yeah,
And
trying
then
to think of
rook
how I would do
f6,
this.
everything is just dropping.
I think I like check, check. Wait, let me think. Check. Wait, sorry. Check, check. I'm trying to think of a way to win more than just a queen for a rook.
Hmm.
Check here. Takes. Maybe there's not a way.
I mean, this is still crushing, but yeah, it would have been nice to find a little checkmate there, but I don't think there is one.
Mm-hmm.
King gets to c6.
Okay. Yep, we're seeing all these moves. And I'm guessing white will just take the queen. Okay, let's go back to the K12 at this point. Let's see. Top board. We've got RTE 2017. He is half a point ahead of Bewilder and Vidor, who he is playing. All right, we have a little bit of a unusual opening. E4, knight C3, G3. I don't even know what I would call this.
Almost looks like they're going for some sort of closed Sicilian type setup, with
Right, but it's not a Sicilian.
not a Sicilian, yeah. F4 is going to be hard to play.
Yeah, what would this even be? What would this even be called? Like I'm actually just not
Where
sure. Let
they
me see.
where they going?
Okay, maybe just the Vienna, a version of the Vienna game. Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's see. After castles, we'll see what black does next. Um, Another player, I think Bewilder Beast in this tournament, he likes to set up kind of like this, I think, where he has like a pawn on C3 instead of a knight on C3. And then
Hmm.
a lot of times black will play bishop to E6 to just develop, but then he'll play D4
I
followed
just
by D5 and win a piece.
the easy way of doing it.
Hmm. All right. Well, but black is definitely taking their time here, but I don't think they need to be too worried. They can castle or bishop to E6 should be okay. Kind of a slower developing game. So let's check out board number two, maybe. We've got
Ooh, that's
Bewilder Beast.
crazy.
Looks like this is just like some dragon Sicilian that looks pretty exciting.
Yep, I think we chose the right game right now.
Accelerated dragon.
Mm-hmm. What we like to see. F3 though.
Is this the position that allows Queen B6?
I think so.
Do you know that Queen B6 trick with like knight takes E4 coming?
Before, I think they have to play bishop b3 and then just let it happen.
Yeah, isn't the main move here bishop to B3 to avoid that? I thought it was.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
And then you play f3 and then queen d2.
right. Okay, so maybe black could have gone queen to B6 at some point, but okay. We had a trade on B5. I would say that's a little unusual. White
Ooh,
lost their darks for a bishop. That can't be
can't
good.
be good. I was just
Yeah.
about to say h5 is a possibility for black here to just close
Mm,
black's counterattack completely.
right. Even if white gets in H takes G, H5 and H takes G6, it still won't be that easy to mate with the black bishop still on the board.
Yep, the darks for bishop for white is pretty important in these attacks for white.
Hmm.
And now that it's not on the board, this is yeah, this is looking better and better for black now.
I agree.
Maybe we can even just double up on the C file, perhaps, or play H5 is an option too.
What about this though for white coming up, like playing G5 and then bringing a knight to D5? So you have to be a little careful where
Knight
you put
D5 could
your
be played right now, right?
now that the knight has moved away. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, now you don't even have to play G5. So is this an issue?
Knight D5 attacking the queen and also E7. Maybe the
That-
queen has to go back.
But if the queen has to go back, something went wrong here.
I agree.
Okay, not played.
Queen
Some
D2.
players
Okay.
maybe playing a little bit too fast. Look at their times.
Hmm.
I think a little bit too fast there.
I
Being
don't
there.
know. I kind of don't like this. I wish this pawn were on A6 that later I could try to play B5. It's kind of hard to get the B pawn involved in an attack here.
Yeah, I agree. The A pawn looks good extended like that, closer to the white king, but does it really do much?
I think something like this might be good. Threaten knight C4. That'd be crushing.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Okay,
Okay, there it is.
knight D5 counterattack.
Yeah, probably need. Oh, wow. Now, isn't knight C4 game over on the spot? Why is Stormer blitzing out all of their
Knight
moves? They just
A4 saves you.
completely knight A4. I mean, if it's possible, then it's already a little lucky, I feel like.
It is.
But
I'm just
okay.
trying to survive here with white.
Yep, let me think. Knight A4.
It seems like the only move just to survive, but I don't. Is there like a tactic here to like maybe you just move your queen? Like, uh,
Yeah, the problem is
there's
I
no
can't
real
keep it
choice.
on the B file or attack
Yeah.
your knight though. But what if yeah, what if I moved it like here, for example, and then the white queen moved to, hmm,
Oh, can we move it to A6 instead so we can play B5 next move?
sure. I was trying to keep pressure on this knight, but queen A6,
Oh, I see.
queen moves somewhere, B5. Yeah, we could do that. All right, let me also calculate if knight takes D2, because this is a forcing line. Knight takes D2, knight takes B6, bishop takes D4, knight takes C8.
Mm.
Hmm, maybe it doesn't work for black. I'm not sure. But yeah, kind of lucky that Stormer even has this move to not lose immediately. I feel like H5 blitzed out
They
cannot
totally
be the
just knight
best.
C4 and found knight A4 just out of necessity, I think.
Exactly, out of necessity, precisely. All right, well, let's circle back to the K5. So Vid 1 versus Cyrom, that was the game where, yeah, we saw that white was crashing through. They did just trade down
Right.
after winning black's queen. So there's that game, and no other games. All right, so let me swing by the first game, Vixter. Where was that? This one. Looks like Shri 313 has gone up a couple of pawns. We left it after a successful opening for white. E5, pushing away the black knight. Black knight on E8, not very comfortable. Kind of
Ooh,
like G3 here more
yeah, like
than
be better.
rook's taking over the open file.
Now G3.
Knight E4, also excellent. Taking pawns on the C file.
Pawns were just dropping one after the other, and then there was a mate
Okay.
right here.
Um,
In a few moves, in a few moves, I mean.
okay.
It comes to D6.
Yes, mating on threat. So rook A4 to prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rook B6 would threaten mate
Right.
again and also threaten to take the pawn, maybe with the knight even to guard the A3 pawn.
Yeah, it looks like a great move. Rook B6.
Maybe black would miss it and play rook takes A3, just thinking it was a trade or something.
Pair of pawns, yeah. That could be missed.
Hmm. Even if white trades here on A4, I guess they're in pretty good shape.
Yep, up two pawns. Seems like black would want to play knight C4 to get the A3 pawn, but the white knight
Hmm.
that right now, so.
Right. Let me see the other game, Chess Kid versus Vedant. We left it after, oh yeah, black was up 2 pawns, I believe, in the opening. And then a little back and forth there, a trade, which I think really helps black, right? It gives black's light square bishop the main problem piece, like now an easy way to develop.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, bishop takes H6.
okay, queen takes H6, knight G5. threatened. Queen d6 to defend along the sixth rank. I like that move a lot.
Yeah.
And now after the queen trade, black should just be completely winning.
Looks good. Just up
Okay.
an entire piece.
Yep. I do like it. Knight takes d4. Piece and a pawn now. Maybe white should try to grab the seventh rank and see if they can claw some pawns back.
Yeah. B7. I can see a world where you get enough pawns, but nah, I just don't see it. The D pawn is just too fast, I think. Worst case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to defend every single pawn on the seventh rank. Maybe black could just, move their knight away and push their d pawn, or they could put the rook behind the c pawn and start pushing that pawn also.
Yeah. Too many options here.
Yep.
And white's also low on time. Chess Kid, your pupil might be going down here.
Chess kid, my pupil. What do you mean?
He's copying your name.
Oh, I see, I see. Yes, the chess kid was my moniker on ICC growing up.
Hmm.
All right, let's go back to the
Ooh,
K12 section. Maybe I'll see if there's any new games that we haven't checked, first of all.
that pawn chain.
Lots of them. Okay, Brass 66 versus Chess 23 being the first one. Optically, this looks really good for white. I kind of thought they might already be up material, but not yet.
Not yet. Um, okay, this D pawn though seems a little bit loose.
Yes, that is true. That's the problem with isolated queen pawns sometimes.
Does gain some space, but it is under pressure. Seems
Hmm.
like there should be something here, no?
For white.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
I don't know though.
what about like rook c4, trying to put pressure on the pinned knight?
Yes.
Aha, played.
And then if rook d6, do we have bishop f4, e5 takes, knight on
Ooh,
c3 defends the d rook? Okay.
okay, okay.
We have
Rook
this.
back to c8 instead. Feels like black's position is hanging on by a thread.
Could we even trade on c6 and then play knight b5? Trying to take on a7 maybe? Hitting the rook.
Hmm,
Right? Or is
maybe
that
black.
slow?
So what if black just moves the queen? Is it just going to be a free? I don't know. I feel like
I guess if you get
feels
out of the pin right away, yeah, then it doesn't help that much.
in some positions, even if like white wins, like let's just say one pawn, but like it results in all these pieces getting traded, like black's probably not that unhappy because this feels really bad. Like white should maybe just win here somehow. But how?
Ow. Yeah. I want to, yeah, I was looking at the B pawn somehow, but not entirely.
B4 threatening to take and then to play B5.
Yeah, but but maybe like just queen d7, like you said earlier, right? Does that do the same?
Yeah, you are still in a pin on D7 at least, though. Like you're in a pin diagonally as well. I don't know. Maybe I'd also like to play this move at some point, so maybe white could try to prepare it with like G3 or something. I don't know.
I like g3. It also gives the king some air.
Yeah,
It's a good left square since black doesn't have a light square bishop.
right. Okay, well, I
Yeah.
don't see any. Okay,
Ooh,
D5.
d5. Here we go.
Probably should have considered this at least. Let me think. If E takes D5, then knight takes D5, knight takes D5, rook takes C6 is the idea, probably something like that.
I was even considering rook takes d5.
Uh-huh, yep.
And just having that monster knight on d5 seemed really good too.
Mm-hmm.
You'd also get, yeah, I like d5. I don't know why we didn't think about this early. I guess
Yeah.
we just focused on taking advantage of the pin right away, but this seems good.
Okay, so let me see. There should be a lot of other games too. Let me check. Actually, not many anymore. Let's check out. G Shania versus Bellatrix. Actually, I'll just go to the left to the current position. Knight to D2. Looks like black is up a piece. Let me just see how that happened, though. Where did white lose a piece in this game? Ah, they just fell for like the classic London system fork with E5, E4.
Gotta be that, right? Yep, there it is. That happens way too often.
London system players missing tactics, Brian. It's tale as old as time.
Are we surprised? No, but that is a very common tactic that
Yeah.
uh well, if you play the London, you should be aware of just because it comes up so often.
Yes, for sure. Anytime your opponent plays a move like Queen E8, especially, I feel like that's kind of like sounding the alarm to what they're trying to do.
Yep. If you avoid it, is Queen E8 even good?
Probably not. I don't really
It
know.
seems like a cheapo, right?
It could be. All right, checkmate on G2 threatened. I guess we'll see white either play F3 or knight F3 or something like that.
Yeah, some sort of blockage, maybe. Maybe just F3, honestly. And
Yeah,
then play E4 and claim that you have a lot of space
right.
for the piece. And
One one pawn for the piece, and it's a central pawn. Okay, let me go back to the top boards. So this one
E5 is
first.
finished, by the way.
A5 is finished. Okay, we'll swing back. We'll swing by that in a second.
Yep.
Fedor versus RTE. It looks like we left it after. Let me see. Oh yeah, we left it very early in the game, and white had just been progressively picking up all the space on the king side. Um, I don't know if black should allow the pawn to keep getting going forward. Maybe you should take on F4. I don't know. This looks pretty dangerous. I don't like this at
That's
all
how
for
we saw
black.
that big pawn chain. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my goodness.
This is like the dream position of any beginner player when they learn about pawn chains.
Yeah,
You've had it, but I've had it in some classes where they're like, Coach, look at my pawn chain. And it's just this massive chain of pawns
right,
throughout the entire board.
right.
Um, but in this case, it just looks honestly, wait, is it good here? Because you the light square bishop for white is also bad.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it does seem like it's really good just because it gives white such a space advantage and makes it hard for black to like do very much like with their light square bishop. It's such a dead piece.
Yeah. What's the break here though?
I mean, gradually, like one way to win, if you can't play like B4, then you could also just play like on the H file. I would be playing things that like help us get ready eventually to play H4, H5, H6. I could have like two rooks defending that, a bishop on C1 defending that. Eventually, I feel like white would just break through on the king side.
Yeah.
But this looks good too. Try to just like see if you can play C3 and B4 or something.
Try to open up the lines. I mean, the king is on C8, so if you manage to open that stuff, then
Hmm.
like rook FC1, bishop F1, C3, try to open stuff up like that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see black surviving this position, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Let me go back to one more game and then we'll go back to the K5. So we did leave this after knight A4, queen went to C7, queen E2, B5, which I guess could that have been captured or not? I don't know what's going on after knight
Very
takes
rich. What
B5.
if you just play rook B8?
Wait, win? Knight takes B5, rook FB8 and sacrifice the queen.
No, I just realized the queen's under attack.
Okay.
What if we move the queen? Okay, queen B7?
Queen B7. Okay. I assumed that if the knights take this pawn, that they'll then like drop back to C3, but maybe black could take that and then you can't take back with a knight.
Was captured.
Oh, I didn't even realize this was the current possession. Okay. So
You
queen to
just played it.
B7. Um, Also the knight could go back to D4 potentially. I don't think I like knight back to C3 because then bishop takes C3 and you have to play B takes C3.
That doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good. Okay, I think I still like black's chances a lot here.
Yeah, there's just no immediate break that I see.
Hmm.
Hmm.
If knight d4, I wonder what white's going to do. Or black. I mean, they could play something like queen b4, threatening the knight on a4, and if you try to defend it, that really weakens all the dark squares.
Right. I want to get the rook on f8 into the game as well.
Okay.
You can get like a rook on b8, rook on c8. That'd be ideal, I guess. Like the tactics would maybe just play themselves at that point.
Hmm. Yeah, these open lines are in black's favor, I think. You don't mind sacrificing a pawn or two sometimes to get these open lines.
Okay. Knight d4.
I think I like queen b4 so far the most.
Mm-hmm. Looks good to me.
I don't see like a direct win yet after b3, but I mean there must be something.
Yeah. Maybe you just play it slow with rook c7 after b3
Hmm.
and then try to bring the other rook into the game.
Wonder in some positions if you could check, the king moves over to b1, and then I wonder if there's ever a world where you could like sacrifice your queen to like open up the b file.
Yeah, that would look sick.
Yeah, the only problem is this knight can come back and block some checks on b3, perhaps. So, I don't know. But yeah, it would be sick.
It just
All
seems like
right.
its counterplay is just not there for now.
Yeah, I
Too
agree.
slow.
Without the dark square bishop, it's like how are you really going to get anything on the king side and get rid of this monster bishop?
Exactly.
Vedant won versus
Okay.
Chess Kid.
We
That
figured
was the
you
game where
probably
they were
get
up a piece.
then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, black just got behind the passed pawn and then converted nicely. And then Shri 313 beat Victor. That one was, oh yeah, that was just kind of a rough opening for Victor. And another reason why I love the Scotch game, Brian.
The end games.
Yeah, it's just hard for black to know how to defend properly against it.
Yep. And then we saw a pretty solid conversion, I would say.
Yeah. All right, so to recap, we have 4 games left in the K-12. They're all open. Let me think which one we haven't checked recently. Probably one of these. How about chess versus Brass 66? It looks like we left it after rook takes c6. Oh, black decided to
Hmm.
sacrifice the queen. Ah, but that's because they had knight b4 winning back some material. Not so bad. Okay.
That's still pretty bad.
Yeah. It's a rook and a piece versus a queen and a pawn. If it weren't for the pawn, we give black some decent chances.
Yeah, maybe. I think this pawn should maybe just be pushed very soon. I don't see why.
Hmm. Black
Maybe
is going to threaten to take it with rook to b8, so we'll see what white does to try to defend it. Maybe they'll push it 1 or 2 squares.
seems logical. I do want to give the white king some luft before doing anything crazy, but I do think you have to defend the pawn first.
Because rook b8 is a threat right now. I feel like if you make left, you'll just lose your pawn, and then it won't be easy to convert.
Right. So maybe before then right away.
Yep, b4, rook b8, move the queen somewhere, I guess. Hmm. Black, I don't know. I mean, obviously white's better, but I don't think it's going to be like that easy. Black's position is very solid too. No big weaknesses anymore, at least. Rook b8, okay. Queen doesn't have a whole lot of places to go. You can't move to like d6. That would be a blunder. You could go to c6, but then maybe rook takes b4. So does that just leave a5 as the only way to save the pawn?
That's what I was thinking. Queen a5, and then maybe you can play b5.
let's say I played bishop to c3 maybe.
Rook B1, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
And
And
then,
maybe like rook d8 or something. I'm not really sure. Or rook
okay.
c8.
I guess you're kind of threatening some back rank stuff, right? So
If
G3.
d8, yeah, g3, right. Yeah, I guess we'll see. If this pawn makes it all the way to b6 and it's defended now with the help of this bishop, then I think white will be in pretty good shape. But if black can like stop it from getting that far, then it might be tough for white to
Yeah,
convert.
we might see something like Bishop C5, thinking they're defending, but after knight takes, you can't take back with
Yeah.
the pawn. You have to take back with the queen, but then the pawn drops. So
Yep.
it's not easy, I think. Rook B1 has to be played, I'm guessing, is the only move to keep the pawn.
Yeah, I think we'll see that as well.
Yeah, Bishop D2, I think fails to Rook FD8.
Okay, yeah, I didn't consider that, but yes. Looks like that pin is annoying. Okay, let me see. We got four games, so let me bounce back. Oh, one of them is over. G Shania lost versus Bellatrix.
The game they were down a piece.
They played knight f3 instead of f3, and then later that knight was pinned because of it, so they couldn't take that knight that rerouted to g5, so that was another free pawn. Now black was just, and that's another free pawn. So black was just ahead by a piece and a pawn at that point, and so white resigned.
Fair enough.
Really just came down to that one trick in the London where white
Yeah.
missed that e5, e4 was a threat.
Yeah, and I think Bellatrix has probably played that trick before, so they were pretty familiar. What happened over there? Okay.
Okay, yeah, let's check this one first just because it's the kind of the most exciting game remaining. B3, knight a3 instead of queen a3. Okay. Knight a3 threatens bishop takes d4, and also like the c2 pawn is getting into a lot of trouble. So c3, and that's our current position. Should black just sacrifice with rook takes c3? It feels like they
I
should
want,
somehow.
yes. I mean, it's not my rook, so yes, let's do it.
Oh, is this just like a boring and much simpler way to do things, Brian? I
Is
think
that
it
just a
is.
piece? That's just a piece, right?
Rook takes, queen takes.
Oh, wait. Okay, I was about to
I
say
don't even
mouse
know.
slip,
I
but
don't
it's
even
not a
think that
mouse
was a
slip.
mouse slip.
Yeah, it's not a mouse slip. You just can't take the bishop.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
bishop takes d4
brutal.
was the easy way to do things.
Yep. That's one way of doing things. That pawn is pinned and bewildered beast.
You must be loving this game, Brian, as a dragon player.
Oh, I love this game. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I uh,
think
I knew that B pawn just had to be it. It wasn't part of the game, but like there's always something about the B pawn, you know.
right.
It was just like a bait this game, asking whites to take it, and that's kind of where all it went downhill. Usually
I
that
mean,
is very poisonous.
I was cringing for white ever since this happened. Like if you lose your dark square bishop in this opening, it's like good luck.
Yeah, you cannot lose that
Yeah.
dark bishop. That dragon bishop needs to be opposed by some piece and
Bishop
your
h6
own
at some
bishop.
point.
Yep. And that's how you attack black in those situations too. If you're
Yeah.
taking off that bishop, I mean, it's tough. There are some lines where black likes to play rook fe8 and after bishop
Bishop h8.
h6, bishop h8 to keep it. But at
Yeah.
least in those cases, you can still attack with white. Um,
Speaking of the devil, Brian, Bishop
hmm,
h8
on the board.
just played for funsies, I guess.
I mean, what is threatened here? Maybe rook c2 is what they want to play?
Maybe they just, in principle, don't want their dragon bishop to get taken. I don't know. Yeah,
Too valuable.
right.
It's just
Okay, okay,
frequent
hold
fire,
on.
small threat.
There's an idea.
But you can just shut things down with G5 and there's just nothing to
That's a
do.
good point. It's a good point. Let me think. Rook c2 should also win the game somehow.
Hmm.
What else? I mean, there's a lot of ideas. So let me see. We haven't checked this game in a while.
This one closed
Vidor's,
up,
it closed up on the queen side. Yes.
which
Black
can't be
brought a
good for
knight to
white, right?
b4. That was a good way to close it down. All right. I
Is
gotta
this
say,
fortress?
I'm not a huge fan of some of the things White did here.
Kind of looks like a fortress, I'm not gonna lie. Like maybe the queen just shuffles for black and then there's like how do you break? You
Can I
can't.
get my dark square bishop back? I'd like my dark square bishop returned to me ASAP.
Oof.
I do not like the
Big
move bishop takes
blockade.
b4.
And I think we mentioned at the start that RTE needs just a draw, right? Was that the one game we mentioned?
That is true. I mean, this was a
So,
double attack, by the way, so probably white should have just prepared for this better.
mm,
But I still think that my idea of like, just bring the rooks to the H file. The bishop is already guarding this. Push your H pawn to H6, and that should be an
game
easy
over.
win for white.
Yes, I agree. And here after this trade, maybe you have to like just sack the pawn on A5 if you want to try for anything, right? Because now this is just dead.
Sacrifice which pawn?
The A pawn before the rook got to A5, just like to have an open file. I don't even know.
Yeah, let me see. So like maybe here A5. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think you should allow rook A5. I agree. That's a great placement by black. Both of their rooks are just blockading on the dark squares.
Hmm.
Wow. I don't see a way that white can win this now, Brian. The only way I
Would
could
you go
dream
bald if
of,
white won this game?
huh?
Would you go bald if white won this game?
No, because there is one plan of like this, followed by this, followed by G7, followed by Rook G6, and nonsense starts to ensue.
Okay, okay. Black offers a draw, white declines a draw. Black offers a draw, white declines a draw.
Hmm.
So,
Okay, they're going for it. Maybe Brian hinting at some queen takes H6.
oh my goodness, that would be epic.
I don't think it really does much, but
It wouldn't work, but I think that it would be great to see it. I mean, the
yeah.
question is, does
Will White
white
do
lose?
it?
Okay, that is another question too, but does white lose? Like objectively, is this bad to take
Oh,
on H6?
probably. But will White even have
Yeah.
the guts to do it? What do you think?
Okay, how? Let me check the points here. What's the point
Yeah,
situation?
like what if a Fedor just contents himself with a draw? He would be at 3 points, and there's a lot of players at 2 points still playing. His tie break's looking pretty good,
Pretty
though.
good. I think that if he were to beat RTE, he wins the tournament.
Well, sure, but we're wondering if he should like just take the draw, which would be the main consideration, right? Not sacrificing his queen.
Mm. I mean, if I were white here, I don't know. I feel like
He still has good tie breaks,
I want to
plus,
win.
yeah, drawing RTE, who has all those points. You get tiebreak points for the people that you draw. You get like half their score, I think.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Is this game over yet? Feels like it's anytime gonna be mate.
Very, very soon.
Boy, there's a lot of
No,
stuff happening over here too.
wait a second. There are no checks.
That's a check.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay, that one might have to be played low key,
Okay.
right?
I don't know.
Yeah, because
Maybe.
there's some trouble here on the king side for black. This looks like a great check though.
By the way, if black wanted to be super safe at any point, they could also take this, I think, because that stops queen takes h7. And if white pauses to ever recapture an h1 and you take on g6, that's an easy win too. So if you took this, like let's just say black had taken it last move, then white could consider tossing this in, but then I don't really think it's that bad for black anymore.
Yeah, you just maybe blockade on the dark squares and you're fine.
Does black have a way to mate, however?
Any checkmates in
Check.
that?
King could maybe even go here.
Wait, after bishop e5?
Oh, no, definitely not. Sorry. King G5 has to be, well, pretty much has to be played.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
F6, King H6. I don't know what's happening.
No, we might actually see this. That's crazy.
At any point, rook takes H1 should win black the game comfortably, though.
Hmm. Wait, what about pawn takes f7? In some lines, you want to keep the pawn from promoting, but then there's queen takes h7 if you take it. Maybe it's nothing. I think the king can just zigzag its way like to d7 or
Well, when
something.
I played King takes F7, you still can't do this because I have a rook on H1 still.
Oh, if you trade, yeah.
Yeah. I just think this slows down white so much. Okay, it's happening.
Hmm.
All right. We talked about this one, talked about this one, and there's this one. Chess has gotten the pawn to B6, Brian.
And
Seems
you
like a
say that,
success.
yeah. And these are the moves we talked about, right? Rook
That's
B1,
right.
B3, B5, and then B6. We talked about all of this, and now it looks
Hmm.
with white. The rooks are tied down to this pawn.
With that being said, it's still pretty hard to break this blockade. How do you ever get a rook on B7 to move away?
Maybe we can start with F4, F5, and then try to get a bishop on F4, and then the
Hmm.
queen on A6.
Hmm.
Try to
Maybe.
trace those rooks away. Yeah, queen C6 would work too. That yeah, I think it's coming along. That king
Yeah,
is pretty safe on G1,
it
and
does look pretty good.
think I think white just has to be patient, like patiently get the pieces where they have to go,
Hmm.
attack the rooks, and that pawn's promoting.
Yeah,
Or it's gonna get sought by a sacrifice, but material, you know?
there are some things black can try, but I do think white is looking pretty good to win this. Um, all right, so we did see after rook takes h1, queen t takes h1, black just took on g6, and the king hunt looks like it's drawing to a conclusion here.
Yep.
Mate, or not mate yet, but it's about to be
I
because
was thinking with the
queen
queen.
g2 was mate.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
That was a good game. Good Sicilian, exciting game.
I was curious about just a couple things in that middle game. Like, were there any like knockout wins after this knight a4 move? Let's see. Queen, first of all, was knight a4 the only move? Yes.
Hmm.
Queen c7, b5, takes, queen b7, knight back, queen b4, b3, knight a3. It looks like black played really well.
Yeah, knight
Knight
A3 was great.
a3. Okay. I guess queen a3, there was nothing fancy there. Check. King b1. Oh, white was even better. I don't even know how that's possible, Brian.
I don't know.
Like,
That's crazy.
how could that? Maybe the queen is getting trapped, I see. So you do,
Oh,
there is that
uh,
problem.
but there's queen B4, I guess just A3.
I didn't see queen before. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Anyway, two games left. White is probably not going to do the sacrifice. I think we're going to see some shuffling.
Mhm. They keep declining to draw, which is a little bit funny.
That's
Maybe just
true.
accept.
Black is like, hey, I have a blockade, and white is like, I'm just going to keep trying some stuff. But what to try? Is there anything at all?
Nothing.
Yeah, the only thing I see is that idea where you like put rooks on the G file and then sack the queen on H6 and play G7, but I feel like it's more losing than anything.
Yeah, if anything, black has potential breaks in quotes because they're probably not good, but like there's B5 and then some bishop sacrifice on a specific pawn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Totally.
I don't see that working either objectively, but I don't know.
Yeah,
And it seems like black is already offering draws, so they're not thinking about doing any of that.
for sure. I mean, in this position, black doesn't have anything to think about. If white isn't sacrificing the queen, then you're literally just like making sure not to allow A5 or H6.
Yep. And this game, this is going to go to the 50 move rule, I'm pretty sure, because
Yeah.
when was the last capture or pawn?
Okay. Okay. Wow. Still, I
Oh, we're
thought,
getting there.
where was it? Oh my gosh. Okay. Wait,
Oh, there
something
we
with
go.
the H pawn. Was it
H5,
that? H5 on move 41.
41.
So
So,
91 would be a draw.
hmm, is it,
And we are on
yeah,
87.
we're 4 away. And I think Lead Chess automatically does it, right?
I think there's a setting and you're, well, I don't know.
Oh, I think the option pops up to claim it. And so
Yeah.
Black's going to claim it.
Yeah, I think you're right. We might see it after either whites. Yeah, there it is. It looked
Okay.
like it was automatic.
Hmm. That was too fast for any reaction time.
Right.
Okay. Well, that clinches it for RTE. No, it doesn't. By tie breaks.
Okay.
Be will
Um,
pleased with that win.
yeah, that's true. Let me just see if there was anything I wanted to check in this one.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, somewhere around here, it's yeah, kind of like what I expected. You can play around with like whatever the best plans are, but look at this. I'm saying like King F2, Rook H1. So that
So
makes
many
Bishop.
options, they're all the same.
Well,
Even
King F2, Rook H1 was kind of hinting at that plan I was talking about.
yeah. I think
Um,
I think your plan is probably what anyone would do.
I want to
It's
see if there's any position where I can just test out this queen sacrifice just for fun. I
mhm.
think it was after White played Rook G1. I thought that they might be considering. I'll just try it here. This is such a random spot to try it.
It's
But
not even that bad. Look
yeah,
at
it's
it.
not even that bad.
And that's
And
what
look,
I'm
it has
saying.
and black has to
I would have
play
gone for it.
B5. Yeah, maybe White should have tried it. Anyway, all right, so we've got one game left, which is
J12.
the knights have been no, what has happened? Okay. We had the knight and the bishop get traded. That's got to be a success for black, right? Because
I
now
would agree.
White loses the piece that's guarding this, and black's knight wasn't putting any pressure on that pawn anyway, but the bishop can pretty soon.
Yes, I think what I would do, do I have time to play rook e3 and maybe queen c6? I want to trade off a pair of rooks.
But if you play rook e3, I'm just going to take the pawn to start with.
Yeah, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Huh.
I feel like black is gonna maybe hold this, Brian.
That'd be crazy. Queen c6, does that prevent bishop d8? But then you can go bishop d4. I mean, it might still be fine. The king's coming over, but does that just win the pawn?
I don't really see how white could have saved the pawn anyway, but at least the king is getting off of the dark square so that later if black's bishop takes this, they won't be threatening checks.
Yeah, I just want to play queen c6 because if bishop d8, then I wanted to play a check, king up, and then keep my queen there and just attack the f pawn in case they go for the b pawn. But maybe it doesn't work anyway.
Yeah. Maybe bishop d8 isn't even strictly necessary. Like if black just kind of
Maybe
shuffles around right now, like I'm not sure what white's doing there either.
maybe we just have to push our kingside pawns, create some sort of chaos on the king side for black, and bring and slide the rook over to like g3 or something. I don't know. While
Maybe.
black is busy with the b pawn.
Okay, bishop e7 is tossed in. I guess queen c6 is a good place to put it. Keeps the pawn defended, gets the queen on a light square. Maybe in some cases you could, after that, swing your rook over. Although, I don't know, rook takes b6 is always a problem. Okay, we did see that. I think black is just chilling, saying like, how do you break this blockade?
Yeah.
The only way to challenge this rook is to try to get your rook to a position to challenge it. But the moment you move this rook off of the b file, then rook takes b6 happens.
Yeah, I don't what I would do, I would just push the kingside pawns, try to go for the win that way.
Okay.
Which is it's a bit risky too
Kind of
because
opens up your king.
yeah, it is risky, but I think what else are you gonna do if you're trying to win this as white?
Yeah. Well, maybe you can't. Maybe you just have to take a draw. I don't know.
Mm, I hate draws.
I mean, you could, like, do you think that White's chances are of winning are better if it's Queen versus Rook and Bishop, or because I mean, if you wanted to trade a pair of rooks, you could like drop your queen back somewhere, play Rook A3, and then let Black take the pawn, but then play Rook A8 and force a trade of one pair of rooks.
Yeah, but then it's 3 against 3.
Yeah, it's also a draw. I just don't see how to make use of this pawn though.
I mean, for now, it's just keeping the rooks on the B file. So I think it's okay there.
Hmm.
That's why I wanted to, like kind of spread the board a little bit by playing on the king side now. Just keeping the rooks tied down on the B file
Hmm.
and then push some pawns on the king side. But how would you even do that? I would have started with F4, but is this king trying to get to, yeah, maybe. If he gets to A6, that's a problem.
Maybe that's a way to remove the blockade. The king, Brian.
Check. Now the king's gonna go to D3.
Okay.
Maybe black should have gone for this B pawn with the bishop sooner.
Yeah, maybe black shouldn't have been passive. I don't know.
Is rook against bishop with three pawns on the same side a draw?
Whew. Don't ask me.
Because I'm seeing a scenario where black
Uh,
goes for the B pawn, the queen takes, and then rook takes, king takes, and it's rook versus bishop against three pawns on each side.
I would sort of guess that if black doesn't have any weaknesses, that it would be a draw, but that's such a guess. King F3, not what I expected. Hmm. Okay, so black just goes back.
Oh, the king can still go to E4, go back the same way.
Hmm.
That might be the move.
Yeah, I feel like that's the play. If you're going for the win, try to get the king to A6.
Yeah, if you don't want to give up your queen, maybe you play rook B5 and go behind the rook, so you can get the king to A6.
What is this? Okay, so this is a scenario where
I kind
black,
of mentioned this earlier, right? Rook E3 and going for this sort of trade.
but this is like exactly what I was talking about with queen dropping back and rook A3. It's like the same idea, right?
Give up the pawn, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this.
King H7. Okay. So rook E8. I mean, you're still going to be playing what? Rook takes B6, Queen E4 check. I don't know if I love King H7.
Yeah, if you have to play G6, then it gets a little bit iffy. The bishop's no longer solid on F6.
Hmm. Rook E8. I mean, I think black would have to play rook takes B6 because, like, rook takes E8 is bad. Queen takes B7 is winning for white. And, okay, so rook back to B3.
Okay, I'd probably just play king back to G8 then, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Black seems content to not like win this pawn right away, but um try instead to just keep things the same. Black offers draw, white declines draw. Did that just happen? I feel like it did.
It just happened.
Okay. So we know what Black's mindset is then.
Yes. So both of these players cannot contend for first place, even if they won.
Can they even okay, so yeah, if this game is a draw, then both players finish at 2.5. They won't be in the top three. But if one of them wins, they tie for third with
It,
Vidor. But Vidor's tie breaks are so good that I kind of feel like
it doesn't
it
matter.
might not matter.
Yeah.
What to do now? Either king back and just repeat the position, or bishop d8 again. If you play bishop d8, you'll never take with the bishop, I guess, because then you're just in like this permanent pin. But you
Yeah.
could try
Well,
to take it with the rook.
I'd play queen E4 here, maybe.
Check. I kind of want to save the check in case there's like some tactic that I can trick my opponent with, but I'm trying to find one.
Or maybe queen D8.
Queen where?
Queen E8. Try to go for the F pawn.
Oh,
But then just
hmm.
takes
Yeah,
Queen.
queen e8 is interesting, trying to induce bishop takes b6, and then you move away, and then there's this pin on black's bishop forever.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
White running low on time.
Queen e8 doesn't actually threaten anything, though, so maybe
Does.
black doesn't have to do anything.
But
Bishop
how do you not
f6
do
or something.
anything? You just go back. Okay. Just go back with the bishop. That makes sense. Hmm.
If white gets too low on time, they may agree to the draw after all, at some point.
Right.
I'm not sure really if black should play rook takes b6 and like end up in some position where they have the rook and the bishop, or if they should just like keep things the way it is now.
King e2.
Is there any way that this is a blunder? Like, would that lose a piece after anything that happens?
I don't think so because the rook can always check the king and maybe defend with bishop f6, defending the rook on b2 or something like that. But
Black really does not want to take this pawn. I would like to see white go to a6 with their king.
yeah.
Risk it.
So king d3, bishop d8, king c4. They can probably just take the pawn then, though. So like he's not exactly on time.
Yeah.
Under a minute here for white.
Okay. King d1, heading further, but also heading closer. It's a very paradoxical move.
Yeah. They maybe want to go behind the rook, but that wouldn't work because then there's a check on a8.
Rook check. Okay. We could still go to the c file, though. There's no pin. And if the rook drops back to b8, going for this, it could just allow like b7.
Ooh, no, that rook's gonna go right back, I think.
Do you think we're gonna? Yep. Okay. Well, then where's the king going next, Brian?
I think they should just play rook b5. Okay, there we
Okay.
go. I don't like this one because then the check on a8, you have to go back.
That is
Unless you want to
true.
block, right? I guess you could block.
You could block. Bishop d8. Okay. All right. Choices to be made. Does black finally play g6 or do they move the king back? Oh, g6, a change in the pawn
Mhm.
structure.
Queen
Queen
back to
c6.
c6.
Whoa, but this is
I didn't
not
like
the
that one.
time. Whoa, does this win the
Does this
game?
lose?
Rook takes b6 winning?
Oh my God,
Brian?
no way!
No.
Is it over?
Doesn't White just lose now? I mean, the only thing you can do is just give up your rook for free.
Oh no.
Oh, the worst timing.
And then there's a drive.
No,
What?
black is definitely going for the win now, right?
No,
Why not?
white can take on f7 and perpetual on f8.
Oh, if black stops checking, sure.
Yes, if black isn't careful. That
Just
would be
go
a crazy
here
way
and
to
like
finish
black
the
is
game.
totally winning.
Nah, but this is winning now.
Winning,
Black
so
still
winning
has
for black. Oh, Brian.
king to g7.
How did this? Okay, wait, let me think about.
Just
I want this plan to work, but I don't see why the king ever needed to go to the B file. I always wanted it to just come in this way.
hmm
Maybe like at some point when you got here, if black played bishop d8, you still like couldn't come up. I don't know. Oh no.
So the king made itself back to shelter, but I don't think that shelter is gonna resist for long.
It's all about this pawn now. Black just needs to like coordinate their forces to attack f2.
Yep, it's
So
gonna collapse very soon.
this looks like a great start. Rook f5, followed by rook b2. You actually just can't stop either of these moves, basic. Oh, rook b2.
Right away.
Next move, bishop d4, or rook b4, and then bishop d4.
Oh no, this is just a big collapse by white. I just don't see how you can possibly get out of this now.
Yep,
Tragic. Rook b4 just looks good.
I do like it.
Rook b4, queen check. I'm
Hmm.
guessing what? King H7, there might be some tickling on the F7 pawn.
Yeah, it's true. I would like to have my king on G7 ideally. So maybe like, I don't know, even if you just play it slow, like this, and then do the moves we talked about, that should work.
Hmm. Oh no, Black even offered a draw earlier and it was declined.
Yeah. I was worried that white was going to get so low on time that they would make some big mistake.
Have you ever been offered a draw, declined it, trying to win, and then lost the game?
I assume so, but I can't think of anything specific that I've logged in my mind.
Okay. Because I was gonna ask you if you regretted it afterwards. Because
Ah,
it happened to me before where I declined a draw,
mm-hmm.
lose the game, but I'm not exactly upset that I declined the draw because I was
Right.
going for the win. But like some
Right.
people are, are upset because they were like, I shouldn't have lost it. I could have accepted the draw easily, but I went for
Yeah.
more and blah blah. And they're
But I
upset
think
about
you
it. I
should
feel
just
like
try to make the decisions like
objectively.
yeah, I would only be upset if like I saw that like when I declined the draw, like I was just worse. And so then it's like I wasn't being objective.
Yeah. Bishop D4.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah, sure. Looks good. This pawn is defended. White could go after the pawn. Okay, so there goes the F pawn. You could take it with the bishop.
Bishop can take.
Just don't take it with the rook. By the way, this is going to be a big problem after bishop takes F2.
Oof.
Mate. Okay, there it is. Are there any stalemates? Unfortunately, not quite. This pawn can move. If black did something like this coming up as their next move, then, oh wait, never mind. There's no draw. The king can also go here. What was I thinking? Maybe like if the bishop came down here and the rook were down here, then you could give away your queen or something.
Yeah, bishop G1 is game over because then G4 fails to rook 7 B3 checkmate.
Correct. There
Game.
it is.
Wow, what a game by both players.
It's
Very,
forced
very
mate, I
well.
guess.
I think it is. I mean, you can give some checks, I guess, with the queen.
Even sacrificing the queen is going to lead to a mate right afterwards with g4, rook f3 mate. Poor
Yeah,
guy. Rook
there
takes
it is.
f7,
No
g4, and
stalemate.
mate.
Wow, good game.
Wow,
That concludes the K-12 section. We went overboard today. Extra long video, but
that's true.
worth it for this awesome game.
That's true. Yep, okay. So let's check out the final standings. In the K5 section, we had three people with 3 points. First on tie breaks is Vedant HP. Second place on tie breaks, Victor Vapu 1224. And third place on tie breaks, Shri 313.
Very close on tie breaks. Very close tournament.
Yes, clutch win there for Vedant in the last round. He's going to have to send Shri 313 a thank you gift for knocking off Victor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we've got Bewilder Beast taking clear first with 3.5. Actually, it was not clear first. There's another player, RTE 2017. So both players that were the leaders going into the last round, I guess, ended up second on tie breaks, it looks like.
Yep.
Interesting.
Because
Vidorgan
of the draw.
Nessen
Mm-hmm.
taking third place on tie breaks with 3 points, and Brass 66 with a clutch win, but still just missing out on the top three.
Yep. Very close tournaments, both of them.
That'll
But
help his rating
very
at least.
minimal margin there.
Yeah, very fun tournament.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for playing in this week's tournament. We hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, I think we have some summer camps coming up soon. If you're interested in those, you can check out our website, dmvchess.com.
Nice.
All right. Well, glad you could join us again, Brian. It was a fun one today.
Glad to be here, and I'm hoping to be here again next week.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for playing, and we hope to see you again online next week.
Yep. Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye.